In this video I have a Panasonic VCR, one of their last ones. This is an NV-HD650, one of these super drive things. And I just picked this up cheap because I wanted to use it for dubbing some old videotapes onto the computer, ripping them across the computer so I can put on Facebook some of the old adverts and stuff on them. I bought a big box full of them off a lady and have a few others lying around. And I do have just a mono machine I've been using, but I spotted this one cheap and it's meant to be working, but it turns out it's not very good at rewinding this thing, so the sort of super drive part of it's not working. A bit old and dirty. Supposedly some of the buttons on the remote don't work, but I've got a tape in it at the moment. I've given this thing a run, seems to basically work, but I found I couldn't rewind the tapes and I wasn't too sure about the tape condition. So I put them in the other machine I got, and it's fine. It goes up to full speed, even at the point where this one's slowed right down, and I think it's actually quicker to vision search it than it is in normal rewind. Still got a tape in there, which is one of the ones that's playing up. I think this is sort of the last mechanism they came up with. These sort of fairly cheap plastic things they are. Bit of cobwebs in there. I've actually got a battery on the board there. Didn't know they actually had a lithium battery in these. So long since I've looked at one. Quite a bit of dust on everything. It's had quite a few hours use, I think. The display in it's rather dim. Lots of scratches on the front. Some of the lower digits I think have almost gone, so I reckon this one's at least been plugged in for a long time. I can't even tell if it's on or not. Yeah, the channel's up now. Very hard to see. Yeah, channel and SP standard play indicator. If we put this thing in a rewind, not sure if it's got just a belt slipping or what. I think these ones do have a proper rubber belt in them, but it's been so long since I looked at one I forget. But these were certainly the last VCRs I remember working on this mech. I don't think they made another series after these. Look at that back tension guide thing wobbling around. I'm not sure what's going on there. That could be a part of the problem too, if it's got too much tension around the heads or something. You can hear it sort of wobbling as it's doing that. It's making a funny noise. Ooh, that's not good. It's probably just a tape though. It gets most of the way back and then starts going very, very slow. Look at that, just slowed right down. The counter's barely moving, and this is meant to be a super drive, so it should get super fast. Not really any excess tension there. Doesn't hurt to feel. Motor's going. Sounds like it's, I don't know if it's straining or maybe it is slipping. See plastic gears there, but like I said, I can't remember if these have a rubber belt. I can't see it. Yeah, there is a rubber belt, probably just a worn out belt, but this thing needs a service anyway. I think I was going to take the buttons off. Quite a simple machine to work on really, but I was never a big fan of them, but they do the job, I guess. They did wear out fairly quick, I think, if people gave them lots of hours. Let's hold this together. Oh, we've actually got a connector on there. That's handy. But the board's trying to attach to the front and to the, what have we got there? AV sockets. Why is the board not coming with the board is stuck on the front panel. Well, look at it on the, and there's a clip there. I think that should stay there. And let's just try and clip in the board. How's the board attached? I think it is meant to slide out. It's just very tight. So that should have left the sockets behind, but they're very tight. They're quite dirty. Dead spider or spider skin in there. So that's something I have to look at. Yeah, cobwebs everywhere. Quite a dirty display. probably doesn't help. This thing has certainly done some hours, at least as far as being plugged in and just sitting around. I think we just pop the 4 screws out and this whole mech drops out. I'm going to pull a couple of wires and it's going to be a Panasonic, so it's probably going to be a pain to slide the mech back. There's one black latch there, another black latch there. Yeah, I think you just push that forward. Take your 4 screws out, I think. Oh wait, there's another screw by the look of it. Yeah, there's the 5th one. I think something may unplug here. What's still holding it? This machine wants to be a pain. Ah, I'm going to take that connector out for the head preamp or whatever. That's it. Mode switch on the main circuit board. A lot of dust in there. And we do have a belt. It slips a little bit. And the other thing could be the reels are seized up a bit. And we've got brakes on at the moment, that doesn't help. It's actually got a brake on both of them, brake band. So could it be that's not releasing or something? Could be that's not going into the right mode. Definitely needs some dust clean out of this machine. Pays to check these pulleys aren't cracked or anything. That was a issue in some of these later machines, or any capstan sort of driven reel machine. Yeah, under enough tension. That's, I know Sharp videos used to like not rewinding because the belt was slipping. Let's give that pulley a clean. But these more modern machines, because you've got a circuit board under it, you can't just take the bottom off the machine and have a look to see what's going on. Like, is the belt slipping? A lot of muck on there, so it's done plenty of work. And the belt looks rather shiny, so it's definitely on its way out. And I mean, these machines must be around 20 years old now or something. Not sure when they stopped selling them, but these are an early 2000 sort of machine, or around 2005 maybe. Probably a bit earlier than that, some of them. Yeah, hopefully I've got an eBay belt to replace that. Yeah, that's the one I want. Grease is maybe a little sticky in there, but that's not too bad, most of it. Could maybe do with some grease on the upper guide side along these pits here, because it doesn't have any real grease there. Yeah, what's there is all pretty dried out. And on this place to check these rollers feel free, which they do. Pinch roller doesn't seem the greatest, but it's probably alright. So I'll give the tape path a clean. Heaps of muck on the heads. There's a big black streak of stuff across there, probably doesn't help much. And the lower drum may be pretty dirty. This lower part that doesn't spin, you can get a lot of cigarette smoke or other stuff building up on there, and it'll add tension to the tape. Yeah, there's quite a bit of brown muck coming off that thing, so that's never a good sign as far as, even though the tape's sort of detensioned when it's in proper rewind and that, the fact that it's still got the guides out can mean that's an issue. Yeah, quite a bit of brown muck coming off there. Guides are a bit dirty. I'm not sure this machine is even really going into the super drive mode, where it tends to rewind the tape a bit and then drop into a different mode. So again, could be a mode switch issue or something, especially with the amount of dust and muck in this machine. Capstan's actually pretty clean and it comes off easy. Just a couple of rings top and bottom. Turn the motor from below and clean the muck off that. Not that it really probably causes much issues, but nice to get rid of it. Check the control head is clean, which is not the best, though it's not where it matters. Bit of muck on there though. I've still got to do the drum properly. Give the pinch roller a quick clean. It's pretty shiny on the surface, which isn't the best, but sometimes just giving it a good clean will get that off there. Now, he did say it had a head cleaner in this thing, very dirty. Often we used to just unclip the thing and throw it in the bin when it's like that. That's very, very dirty. I think I'll unclip that one and toss it, because it's probably going to put more dirt on there than it takes off when it gets that bad. Not sure they're ever that effective anyway, but I guess the fact it's so dirty means something's going off onto it. And this streak really doesn't want to come off. Right above the head, of course, so you've got to be careful not to break the head while you're trying to get the black muck off there. That is really set on there. Sometimes you need to put a bit of metho on it and soak it a bit and see if that loosens it up a bit. But all around the heads is absolutely filthy. I'm just going to wet that cotton bud and leave a bit on there for a little bit. Quite a bit above that head. Actually makes the opening for the head look misshapen. That really doesn't want to come off. Wow. I've seen some stubborn muck on heads, but that is really bad. Yeah, it's actually really stuck around the heads, on the aluminium above the heads, but you can't rub hard on the actual heads without risk of breaking them. And of course only rub sideways in these things, never up and down or you'll snap the head straight off. They're only a bit of ferrite. Well, that's the worst of it. I might just put a little bit of grease on there, just for those guides to smear out. Let the sides work that in themselves. The display, a bit of a clean might make it a little bit better, but probably won't help much. You can barely see some of the digits on that, and yeah, nice little coating of smoke on the inside there by the look of it. Nice yellowy stain that comes off. Could be wood heater smoke as well or something like that, but the outside's filthy as well. Oh, there goes the buttons there dropping out. Didn't think they came out that easy. No, they do just sit in there. Now whether it's worth checking that mode switch. Now we get the board out, I think we've got to flick that one out. Geez, that is tight. Now we've got it. Pretty much broke the tab on it, it's so well jammed in there. I think this front board's got to come off. Should just come down and off. Looks like we've got a screw there. Should help loosen this off, and a clip just there. I've got a clip near this power connector. Clip there, you can sort of lift it with these tape guides, just being gentle on them. Something's holding this together. Is that a clip there somewhere? What do we press on? There's a clip there. A clip there. So it's two clips in the back there. It is related to those bits. That's it. And plenty of cobwebs. Not too much on the board, thankfully. And we've got a round circle for the mode switch, a couple of plastic clips, 4 pins on it, 2 of which are bent over just to make life more difficult. Pretty flimsy pins, so not hard to bend back straight. Hopefully that's loose. I'll press on those 2 bits. These pins are holding it, I think. They've actually, looks like they've actually melted these 2 bits of black plastic into a lump, probably to hold it on in place for the soldering in the factory, so I can chop them off. And yeah, just a little push through bit there with the bits that stick out. If you can kind of pull the white bit apart from the black, put a bit of pressure on it, yeah, and squeeze those, it should come off. Oh my god, it's terrible. Everything's tarnished in there. So time to get a bit of the old brasso out. We could use some other sort of metal polish, I guess, but this is what I always used for it. And yeah, that's just completely tarnished. Often used to just give them a bit of RP7 or WD-40 or something, gives them a bit of lube and a bit of metal protection. You can put grease back in there, but that always seemed to work. I never had a machine back with any issues doing it that way. Best to have some sort of lubricant in there. But we need to straighten these out a bit better. Put that back in place and resolder it. Yeah, you got to push it in probably a little bit, but I don't think cutting those pins off is going to worry anything. Just press that home before you solder everything. Probably doesn't matter too much, but and that should do it, I think. Can I clean this display anymore? No, I think she's pretty right. The rest of it looks to be pretty good. I wonder if our battery's got any voltage in it. Yep, still got 3 volts in there, so that's pretty good. I was expecting that to be dead, but I'm not sure what it actually stores. Push everything home. That's in, all good. Power connector back in. Front panel back on. It just basically slots in sideways usually. And the board sits home. And I'll put this RCA board back on, I think, because it shouldn't have come off with the front. Although I guess, do we need to clean those sockets a bit? They're not that bad. There's a little bit of dust on them, but that's it, so I'm not sure why they're such a tight fit. Come on. Plug that back into the main board. Now I've got to make sure this mode switch is facing the right way. Get rid of the last of this dust. So it's the shaft that goes on this bottom side of the master cam, which faces currently around, what's that, 11:30 or something. Looking at it as a clock. So we're facing roughly 11:30ish. I don't think that'll go in if you don't get it right. Yeah, it feels like it went in. Little ball of dust in there. And we've got the control head. And whatever that was, the drum motor, I guess. And the head preamp. Get all them plugged back in. And screw the mech back in. And nice, that's right, one red screw near the tuner. Three screws with the little unthreaded bit on the, just below the head up the back. And the other two normal ones at the front. Push the mech back where it goes, doesn't really matter, it should reset itself. Let's turn it on and see what happens. The display looks a bit brighter as it is in here. Do we risk putting the tape in? Why not? Normally you'd test it with a dummy tape really, but that's a bit better. You're making that noise though. Well, it made it to the end of the tape at least. That's better than it was. That's a little bit up. I think that's this tape. So we're nearly 2 hours into that. I'll rewind it from there and see what it does. Slowed down a bit earlier, didn't do that other little thing the other tape did. But we're down around the 1 minute mark and it's going very slow. Again. That's a bit more like what I was doing before, just around a second ticking over per second, maybe a bit faster, but not the best. It doesn't like that tape much. The other machine seemed to handle them okay. It did get there though. It doesn't want to speed up on that. So it's certainly a lot better than it was, but I'm not sure it's 100%. Which is not surprising given the age of this machine. And they weren't the greatest machine to start with. It's done well to last this long. Better give that a clean. Can't get it on there. Well, the display's a little bit better, but still pretty dim. Probably doesn't help that they convert it to orange from its original blue. But at least you can see all the digits now. But I think that's about the best I can do with that one for now. Without another machine to compare it to or to swap some parts out of. It's hard to say if that's running as well as it should. It's probably not, certainly not running as well as it would have when it's new, I wouldn't think. But it will probably do the job I want. It shows all the major things you need to check over in these things. But it's certainly possible there could be other wear in things like the idler or the capstan motor's not as good as it was. And part of the problem is knowing exactly how well these things perform to start with. But the only other thing I need to do is check the remote. This is absolutely disgusting condition. The doors are a bit loose, that one's broken. Let's see if it actually works. I think there's a note on it that some of the buttons don't work. Like that one, power doesn't work. Input select, channel. Search, OSD, display. Record, you have to press something else with it. Reset. Menu's a bit iffy. No, menu works. Hey, record does work. That is iffy. It doesn't do anything. So these 4 buttons are iffy. The power one, all the ones that get used. Of course, they never break any of the unused ones because they don't use them. Now these are quite easy to get apart, thankfully. One clip there and one there. Same on the other side, no doubt. And it's absolutely filthy in there. Definitely had drink in it. which is why those 4 buttons aren't working, I'd say. Ugh, yuck. Needs a major clean. At least we can give this thing a major clean now that the buttons are out of the way. That is disgusting. Ugh, look at the brown coming off that. And it's still pretty dirty. They've actually worn some of the labels off, so it's had plenty of use, this thing, I think. And there's where tape has been on there. I'll have to come off with a bit of metho. And in where that switch is disgusting. But I can do that after anyway. Disgusting. Oh, this thing's absolutely filthy. And you do have to be careful you don't rip these buttons off the rubber base, because it does happen sometimes without much force. But this has had some drink or something spilt on these main buttons, the play, stop, etc. That's probably why someone got rid of this machine, because the remote doesn't work very well on it anymore. It's soaking, I think. Yeah, big long rubber buttons in this one. A bit different. Don't know if I've ever had one of these remotes apart before. Yuck, there's just muck in there everywhere. Really wants a good scrub, I think. But main thing for the moment is just try and get it going again. And I can get rid of some of this muck and give each key a clean, because they're brown on the face. Absolutely gross. Man, the muck. It's a biohazard, this one, I think. Okay, now to the important side is to clean everything off this side and clean these little black bits, which may fix them or may not. Hopefully just a good clean. And what was the other one? The red power button wasn't working. Probably won't have to clean most of this lightly. Yeah, everything's got a bit of stuff on it. I didn't actually check the buttons under the cover, did I? They look a bit dirty. And the pads on the board, yeah, they're quite dirty around that area. Yuck. Hopefully it hasn't eaten too much of it off the board. Go over it again with a clean cotton bud. And same with the contacts on here. And we can put that back together and at least try it. Which switch position we're in. It's down the VCR side. So let's give that a quick clean out as well. Now this one we can actually hook up 3 volts easily. Get the positive, negative. Power's back. Thankfully all the other buttons are back. Better check the others, I guess, make sure we haven't lost any. Just pointing it at the remote tester. It just receives the infrared signal, flashes an LED to say we've got something going on. And yeah, one thing I didn't check was these. Yeah, all the buttons seem to work. Guess I could put it in TV mode and just check. Doesn't have to check that switch is actually locked in the button to the switch itself before you put them back together as well. And then we got some muck around the edges of this thing, of course. I like to get that off there because it looks disgusting. And it is disgusting. That chunky stuff. Food, I guess. And it always looks terrible when the little crack between the two halves is full of brown muck like that. Yuck. That is terrible. No, I should have done the other half too, I guess. And that's the remote fixed. Just the usual problem of filthy conditions. And yeah, we need to get some of this tape off it as well. What year are the batteries? March 2020. So they're a bit out of date, but they're still working, so they can stay there for the moment. And we've got some horrible tape muck. There's a bit of metho on that to get rid of your sticky tape glue. Hopefully it doesn't affect the paint on this thing. Man, that is a thick layer. Can use some of that goo remover, tape remover, sticker remover stuff too probably, but it tends to be that toxic orange citrus juice stuff which I don't particularly like getting all over me, and it makes everything stink, but it should get this stuff off as well. Yep, turns the machine on and off. Pretty rough old remote anyway. Can change channels. Give that volume one a clean, even though it's only for TV. It's still brown and horrible. Just looks disgusting. A few of these still need a bit of a clean. Well, it's certainly better than it was. And I like the design where you've got the battery terminal sticking up and you can just hook a power supply on it with the back off, saves clipping them back together. That's the door, I think, is kind of functioning like it should. It's not too easy to open, but the back one's lost its little clip. And yeah, it's pretty poor condition anyway, but it'll do for a machine for dubbing a bit of stuff across. For me, just all it needs clean. So that gave it a good service. It seems to be largely working. Probably need to try a few more different tapes in it, but it's certainly getting back to the beginning of the tape now. It looks like this one does slow down a bit earlier than some of the models, but the point is it gets to the end now. It was struggling to get to the last, I don't know, maybe 10-15 minutes, and it would just pretty much stop or just be going less than a second to rewind a second. Like I say, if you put it in vision search, it actually went quicker. But I think it's mainly that belt, but didn't hurt to lube everything up and give that mode switch a clean. At least I can see the display a bit better now than it was, but that I think's pretty cooked. It's a fairly high hour machine. Pretty sure it should have been a bit brighter than that. So that gets everyone all going, and thanks for watching.